All right, good morning, guys. So I thought I'd do something a little different today. I just thought I'd make a video. This way you have it. Like I said yesterday, I think it's a little challenging this section. So we want to make sure that we take diligent notes, we take our time with things, and we can always go back and rewatch this in case we need to. So yesterday we kind of started the adding and subtracting of rationals. We did numbers 1 and 2 together. But now we're going to kind of move on to the more challenging ones. So my plan is to go over numbers 3, 4, and 5. All right, 3, 4, and 5. And then I'll also kind of just touch on what I expect to be done for homework for the next time we meet. All right. So each year, students get confused with kind of separating the expectation between multiplying and dividing and then adding and subtracting. All right, so that's going to be important as we go through these. The first thing you're going to want to do when you see a subtraction or an addition is take a look at the denominator and make sure the denominator is factored. All right, so I would do that first. After we make sure it's completely factored, we form what's called the least common denominator. All right, so I'm looking at this denominator here and I'm saying to myself, okay, I need to take out a 2 and I'll have x minus 1. And then I'm looking at this denominator, I'm thinking factors of 3 that can give me negative 4. So that's going to be x minus 3 and x minus 1. The next step would be to form our least common denominator, which means basically like each factor that is within these two fractions needs to be represented down here. So for example, this x minus 1, that needs to be down here. Now, this one already has an x minus 1, so I don't have to write it twice. Again, kind of like 1 for 1. If there's 1 here and 1 here, it only needs to be represented one time down there. The x minus 3, that needs to be down here as well. All right, as does this 2. All right, so that's what's called our least common denominator. All right, the third step would be to kind of adjust the numerator. And what I mean by that is, well, take a look at each fraction, all right, one at a time. And I would compare the denominators here and ask yourself, all right, between this one here and this one here, all right, what's different? What's this one missing that this one has? All right, and it's an x minus 3. So we're going to have to multiply this numerator by x minus 3. All right. Now this one is even more confusing. It's a little tougher because we have a negative sign starting out. All right. So what I might think of this as, well, let me just picture this negative, right? Let's go up here and let's distribute this negative. All right. So let's make this a positive and a positive. All right. So we distributed the negative. It's now plus 2x plus 1. Okay. And now we got to figure out, well, what do we have to multiply that numerator by, if anything? Sometimes not at all. So look at this denominator and this denominator. Ask yourself what's different or what's missing, and it would be the 2. So we're going to have to multiply this numerator by 2. All right, so look, if you're not kind of like taking these notes and trying to make some additional notes on the side, guys, if you just look at the work right now, it's going to be tough to kind of pick that up. So you really have to follow along with me. My fourth step, I'm going to multiply in the numerators. So I'm going to have to FOIL here and get x squared minus x minus 6. Over here, I'm going to have to distribute the 2 and get 4x plus 2, right? So I distributed 2 here and here. The fifth step, right after we multiply, is simplify the numerators, meaning combine like terms. So we have x squared minus 3x minus 4. Nothing changed in the denominator. All right. A sixth step is going to be now factor the numerator if possible. All right, so aside from the first two steps, the rest of the work just comes in the numerator, right? We got to adjust it, we got to multiply, we got to group like terms, and now we have to factor. All right, we have to factor the numerator. Factors of 4, that could give me -3. All right, so this is going to be factorable. X minus 4 and x plus 1. Oh, you know what? As I'm seeing this, I made a little sign mistake. So my bad. Hopefully you caught that at home as you're watching the video. If you did, great. But -x plus 4x should be a plus 3x. All right, so that was my mistake. Just making sure everyone's paying attention here. The -4 is good. So now we need factors of -4 that could give me, so that changes things, right? I have x plus 4 now and x minus 1. In the bottom, we still have the same denominator. And the purpose of factoring, again, sometimes it might not be possible, but the purpose of that would be to try to reduce at the very end. Meaning, go back to what we've done the last few days and say, well, this can cross out with that. All right? And whatever's left here is going to be our answer. All right? So there's a lot going on there. Okay? So that's why, again, I made the video so we can hopefully watch this a few times if we're struggling with it. All right, so here we go. Let's look at number 4. We're going to follow the same steps. We're going to first factor the denominator if possible, if needed. Right? This denominator can factor. Factors of 12 that give me -1. So it wouldn't be 6 and 2. Right? It wouldn't be 12 and 1. It would have to be 4 and 3. And a -4 and a +3. Over here, I'm thinking GCF. 12 goes into both, so I can take out a 12, and I'd be left with x minus 4. All right, the next part is forming this least common denominator, which just means like every factor that you just established needs to be represented down here. So the x minus 4, all right, that needs to be down here. All right, there's 1 here and 1 there, which only means I have to represent it 1 time down here. The x plus 3 needs to be here, as does the 12. All right, the next part is we'll figure out, what's missing. How do we adjust the numerator? What do we have to multiply the numerator by? So compare denominators. Compare this one here and what you just formed. The difference is 12, right? So we're going to have to multiply x by 12. Over here, the difference is x plus 3. It's missing x plus 3, so we're going to have to multiply 5 by x plus 3. Now, this one seems to be a lot easier than the last. Had a little less going on. Right, this one was subtraction. Subtraction is always going to kind of involve another step, another little wrinkle. Step 4 would be to multiply. Well, x times 12 is just 12x. Distribute the 5. 5x plus 15. Simplify the numerator, which means combine like terms. 17x plus 15. And in the bottom, we just rewrite our denominator. And now we would try to factor. But again, it's not always possible. Like there's no GCF with 17x plus 15. Okay? Which means we can't do anything there. So this is just our answer. So again, a few less steps here, right? We didn't have to worry about factoring, which meant we didn't have to worry about reducing. That was it. All right, number 5 is also addition. So again, a little less work. Let me see. I gave you some extra subtraction problems for homework. We'll take a look at that in a minute. All right, again, first factor. So x minus 4 and x minus 4. That one, nothing to factor. All right, so I got done saying in the two previous problems, when we form this least common denominator, this and this can be represented like that, just one time. All right, well, this one's got 2x minus 4s. So I need to have 2x minus 4s down in the bottom. All right. And that's it as far as the least common denominator. Now, again, my third step, when I talk about adjust the numerator, that kind of think of this idea as like what's missing when you compare the fractions, the denominators of each fraction. Well, nothing's missing here. Like this denominator is that. So we don't have to multiply negative 15x by anything. Think about if I asked you to say, 3/12 plus 1/4. Okay, well, the common denominator is 12. I only have to adjust this one, right? We don't have to adjust both. Kind of the same sense here. Well, this denominator only has one factor of x minus 4, so I have to include the other. Distribute. All right, group like terms, right? 12x minus 48. So then I would have negative 3x minus 48. You can write it as x minus 4 squared or x minus 4 twice like that. And I don't think it'll get us anywhere, but you still have to factor. All right, so 3 does go into 48. So I'm going to take out, oh, lights just went off. I'm going to take out a negative 3, and that would give me x plus 16. Now, most of the time, if you can factor, you're going to end up crossing something out at the end, right? This time we didn't reduce anything, but it's still important that you leave your answer in that factored form if possible. All right. So a lot going on in these three questions. I think that video was maybe 12 minutes. So hopefully, if you need, you can pause it. You can take notes, go back, maybe be prepared to ask some questions. For homework, this will be posted. All right. I start out with a little easier of one here, and then you start having to factor the denominators in order to solve. Okay, but it's important that you give it a shot and see how you do. And if you get it, great. If you struggle with a little bit, that's also good, because I think now you'll be better prepared to ask questions the next time we meet and get any issues solved. So, guys, hopefully I'll talk to you in class, but hopefully this will benefit you. All right, have a good one.